Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Economics and Financing of Education ETUC 4124. I am here with the lecture number 8 on cost effective analysis. Under this unit we will see introduction and description of cost effective analysis, use of cost effective analysis in education, how outputs measures are related to the cost effective analysis case studies of various institutions, costing of educational projects, techniques for costing educational projects, and costing projects in Pakistan. Introduction and description. Cost effective analysis, which is also called CEA, is an evaluation tool that is designed to assist in choosing among alternative courses of action or policies when resources are limited. So this is an evaluation tool through which we can measure the effectiveness of alternative courses of action or policies. Whenever we need to spend on education, the scarcity of resources are there and we need to choose among different alternatives. Alternative courses of actions are there. So this analysis enables us to evaluate the utility and effectiveness of different alternative courses of action, according to which CEA is an aid to investment choice that is related to discounting methods of appraisal. It is a measure to help in deciding about the investment in a project. So with the help of this project we can decide that whether investment in the particular project it will be effective in future or not. Steps of cost effective analysis. How does it run? Cost effective analysis consists of 3 steps. Number 1, the cost of alternatives must be measured carefully. So there are so many alternatives, we can measure the effectiveness of all the alternatives given carefully. For example, expenditures on teacher salaries, books and learning materials in each type of school, etc. There can be so many alternatives in the context of education. Here are given the 2. So if we measure the effectiveness of all these 2 alternatives, number 1, number 2, the outcomes or educational effectiveness of the alternatives must be measured. For example, by standardized test score of pupils in each school. So we can estimate the outcomes or educational effectiveness of the alternatives. This is very difficult to measure in the context of education, but all the alternatives when given together we can measure that what will be more effective than the other. And cost and effectiveness measures combined to calculate a cost effectiveness ratio. For example, by dividing the effectiveness of each alternative by its cost to show a unit cost of achieving a particular objective. So behind any policy or behind any particular objective we can determine the or calculate the cost effectiveness ratio. Next is use of cost effective analysis in education. There is not one but many types of cost analysis that are relevant and applicable to education. Institution for Education Planning undertook a research project in 1968 to examine the various ways of using cost analysis in both developing and developed countries. This project concluded that cost analysis could serve a variety of purposes in educational planning. So it says we can do educational planning on the basis of the results produced by cost effective analysis. Relating output measures to cost. How we can relate our output measures to the cost. This section will discuss the following three broad categories. Number 1, improving of the quality of instruction. Number 2, reduction of educational cost. And number 3 is improving the access to education. So in these three examples, we can see that how output is related to the cost. Number 1, improving the quality of instruction. Early developers of educational technologies believed that it would improve the quality of instruction. Research results disappointed. However, there was no significant difference between student performance of a class taught in a face-to-face situation and students taught by distance learning education method. So this example is very relevant in the present scenario as well, that whether a face-to-face teaching class is more resulting or a distance learning method is more effective. The advocates of educational technology still believe that the cost of education are reduced by using educational technology as compared with the use of instructor. So we can say that instructors can be replaced with the use of technology. Media are effective in improving the quality of instruction in situations where the teachers are untrained, and this can be applicable in the other scenario as well, because use of technology needs some training. So untrained teachers have nothing to do with the improvement in the quality. Number 2, reduction of educational cost. The potential of using technology to reduce the cost per pupil per year is high at secondary and post-secondary levels of education. At those levels, the use of radio with correspondence text for distance learning has demonstrated a capacity to reduce cost dramatically. So, whenever you teach the students in a face-to-face class or in a distance learning class, the cost will be different. So if we want to reduce the educational cost, relying on the distance learning can be one situation. Number 3 is improving the access to education. That all the people, whether they belong to rural or urban areas, they can have an easy access towards education. Simply because of its low cost, distance learning can improve access, because for any given budget level, more individuals can be reached with a distance learning system than with a traditional one. So the traditional system is we learn through formal education, whereas distance learning says that we can learn through correspondence. Traditionally, secondary schools and colleges are situated only in populated areas and centers. The students from rural areas are denied. In distance learning system, education reaches the doors of the students irrespectively of their being in villages or in cities. So, when we relate cost with the outcome, we see that improving the access towards education can be one step, and under this we have seen that distance learning can reduce the cost, whereas face-to-face or traditional teaching is expensive. Now we will see some case studies of various institutions. A study of teacher training in Sri Lanka compared the cost effectiveness of training in colleges of education and in teacher colleges through distance education. Teacher performance and pupil achievement were used as measures of effectiveness. So if we compare two different scenarios, training in colleges and teacher colleges, under distance education, pupil learning can be used as a measure of their performance or their effectiveness. and teacher performance and pupil achievement. So they say in a country that has a shortage of teachers, it appears that expansion of qualified teachers can be done more efficiently by using distance education. So in these three scenarios which we have been discussed earlier, we have seen that the focus is on distance learning. They say that we can reduce the cost by focusing on distance education. Costing of educational projects. There are following subheadings under this section: techniques for costing educational projects and costing projects in Pakistan. So we will see only the names of some techniques that are used for costing educational projects. This technique can be discussed under two heads. Number 1, undiscounted techniques, and number 2 is discounted techniques. Undiscounted techniques include such measures as payback period, value added, and the capital output ratio, whereas discounted cash flow analysis techniques consist of net present value, the internal rate of return, and the benefit cost. So these are different techniques, those are used for costing educational projects. Costing projects in Pakistan. They simply say that it rarely happens in Pakistan that we use different projects, costing projects, and then see its utility and effectiveness. The first step is to derive a cash flow based on an annual statement of cost and benefits of the project. At the start, we initiate with having an annual statement of cost and benefits. The next step involves the subtraction of transfer payments from the cash flow. In simple words, inputs and outputs are divided into trading and non-trading items. So here we need to know that what is trading and what is non-trading. Non-trading items are only voluntarily services, and those are not for profit gaining, whereas trading items are for profit gains. The services or goods that are provided for profit, those are trading goods. The social analysis of projects relating to equitable distribution of income is not undertaken in Pakistan. So this is hard to undertake. How can you measure the social analysis of projects relating to equitable distribution of income in the context of a country? It is difficult because social analysis of the projects are subjective terms. There are so many other factors contributing in the project, and measuring the effectiveness of each factor is difficult in the context of education and in the national scenario. So overview of the lecture. In this lecture we have seen that what is meant by cost effective analysis and what is the meaning of cost effective analysis in education, how outputs measures are relevant to the cost effectiveness case study in Sri Lanka, costing of educational projects and techniques those are used for costing educational projects, and at the last, costing projects in Pakistan. So this is the end of the lecture. I hope you have understood the topics taught in this lecture. Thank you.